Welcome back to another episode of the Amateur Hour Podcast. Colin is joining me again.
Hello.
Roman is back on the podcast.
What's going on, guys?
And it is Crisis Club Monday.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking about 4 different teams that are in absolute peril after last weekend or last week or even further than last week. But the headliner, I guess, will be Manchester City. And they've been in peril for about a week. I mean, hey, earlier in the year, I did an episode talking about how Manchester City were in an injury crisis. Some Man City fans were upset about this episode. Man City will be fine without these injuries. They got depth. Well, no, that's not the case. And it was an injury crisis because Fernandinho does not cut it at center back, evidently. As of right now, they're 6 points behind second place Leicester. And if they want to win the league, they are 14 points behind the league-leading Liverpool, who only have 1 draw, faulting their start to the season.
Not going to happen.
By the way, that draw was against Manchester United, if you didn't know. But Manchester City, they just lost 2-1 to Manchester United. I mean, obviously at home in the derby. I mean, losing at any game in the derby is big, but they lost at home in that game. A couple weeks ago, they tied Newcastle. After being up late, they let John Joe Shelby score a screamer.
He's on a tear.
Yeah, I think he scored 3 straight
goals
games,
in
by
3
the way.
games,
Unbelievable. They tied Shakhtar in the Champions League that week before. 2 weeks before that, they lost to Liverpool 3-1. And in that midweek, they tied Atalanta in the Champions League 1-1. As far as the Champions League goes, they've already locked up first place in that one, so it's not that big a deal that they've dropped points there because it's balanced out for Zagreb, Shakhtar, and Atalanta there. But the loss to Liverpool, the tie with Newcastle, they did beat Chelsea, though, and they did beat Burnley last week, but the loss to Man United, and now look how far back they are. It is evident that without Aymeric Laporte, that defense is quite in shambles because they haven't kept a clean sheet since they beat Aston Villa 3-0 on the 26th of October. So very uncharacteristic for a team who was so good defensively last year, keeping a ton of clean sheets, but they're not transcending it towards this season. And I mean, it's clear. It is because they don't have the center back depth. And I said it was a crisis before, and it's proving to be right because without Laporte, they are lost. Because Stones is decent, but he's, ball-playing center back who needs a better defensive center back next to him to look good. Otamendi sometimes doesn't look like even a proper footballer when he's on the pitch. I know he scored against Man United, but sometimes he looked absolutely lost, and I don't really see Fernandinho being the best option. And a lot of Man City fans are calling for a switch from Fernandinho playing center back. But clearly Pep likes him. He continues to go with him. Even he has Otamendi and Stones fit, but he's still driving Fernandinho. I guess Otamendi is so bad, but that's what he's going with right now. They're way back. In fact, last season they won the league with 98 points, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you're right.
If Man City win every single game for the rest of this season, they will have 98 points. So in 16 games this season, they have dropped as many points as they did in 38 last season. Wow. So that goes to show you how big of a difference that is. For the amount that Pep Guardiola spent on that defensive backline, it should be much better from them this season. So we'll see how all that goes. They've conceded the same amount as Man United and Wolves. The only teams under them, Crystal Palace has conceded less, Sheffield have conceded less, Leicester have conceded less, and Liverpool have conceded less than Man City. So there are teams doing much better defensively. However, no team has matched Man City offensively, largely in part to their 8-0 or 8-1 victory against Watford. But definitely in crisis. It doesn't look like they're going to win the league. And honestly, coming up against big teams, Champions League doesn't look realistic for them this season. No. I don't think. I mean, when Leroy Sané comes back, it could be different. When Laporte's back, it could be different.
Sané's not coming back for still a while.
I think it's sometime in the new year.
Is it?
Like early in the new year. Laporte, I think, is February. Sané, I think, is about the same time. I'm not 100% sure there, but I don't see them making moves in the Champions League this year, unfortunately. When they come against a big team, they're really going to struggle. That's how I feel on it, especially if they don't have Laporte there for that Champions League tie. But we'll move on. That's enough Man City slander. They are in crisis. That podcast was right. They need help at the back.
And the best thing is, Manchester is red.
Manchester is red for this week at least. Manchester is red.
Now Manchester is red.
But we'll move on. Our next crisis club, Colin. What do you have?
My crisis club for this week is the New Orleans Pelicans. They have lost, I think, 8 in a row now. and it's not even like they've been losing to good teams.
They got dumped. They got
dumped by the Mavericks
on Saturday.
They lost to the Mavericks.
46-point difference in that game. 130-84, by the way.
Lost the Mavericks, the Suns, the Mavericks again, the Thunder in back-to-back games, and then they lost the Lakers and the Clippers and the Jazz, but obviously those are losses.
They suck.
But honestly, like, this team is really missing Zion right now.
I thought they'd be okay without him.
I also thought they'd be okay, and they started out looking kind of okay, and now they're kind of really falling off.
Can I give you Lonzo Ball's stat line against the Mavericks?
Sure.
2 points, 4 rebounds.
Was this his return game?
2 assists. Lonzo Ball?
Yeah. Didn't he just return from injury though?
He might have, but
this is a guy that we talked.
Regardless, he played 27 minutes, the most on his team. 2 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds.
Yeah.
And for a guy that we had potentially making moves for the MIP, he has not gotten better.
Well, the one bright spot on the Pelicans right now is Ingram. He's putting up 24.6 points a game. He's hooping. 7 rebounds, 4 assists, which are really good numbers. And he's doing it fairly efficiently as well. He's shooting 41.5% from 3, which is very good. Almost 50% from the field. Ingram is absolutely hooping, but other than that, they don't really have much. I mean, they have Drew Holiday, who is putting up about 19 points a game.
But that, for Drew Holiday, that's a decline. That's regression from last year.
But also, he's not doing it as efficiently as last year.
And he should have been improving this year. This is his team now. AD's gone, and the GM said
he is like 30 years old now, though. He is.
I know, but like this is supposed to be your main guy. I know Brandon Ingram's been hooping, but this is supposed to be your main guy. This is your team. There's no Zion right now, and you're regressing. Yeah. This I had the Pelicans the 8th seed in the West. I feel like a fucking idiot right now.
Hey man, like
they're 6 and 17.
They have good names on that team. Like they've got Lonzo, who I like. They've got Melly, who's been giving them decent.
Yeah, I like
he hasn't been that good.
Melly's not been that good.
They've been going deep into their bench, and they've got like a decent bench. But I think they really need Zion right now. They really need someone to come and take over.
This is a great roster.
That's what I'm saying.
You have a Holiday, Ingram, Ball, Hart, Reddick. Jackson
Okafor
Hayes
has been playing well. Hayes has been playing well. Frank Jackson.
Derek Favors was a big offseason.
Nikhil Alexander-Walker's been giving them minutes.
This is giving them minutes.
Like, what is going on? Okay. What is going on with the Pelicans that is struggling? And I mean, to be honest, it's I guess it's the defense. There's not much else you can say. Like, if you compare offensive ratings to defensive ratings, it's very seldom in the ascendancy for the offensive rating. The defensive rating usually trumps the offensive rating for all these players. Yeah. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, they have players to succeed. I guess they don't have enough defensive talent because, JJ can't play defense. Ingram's not a great defender.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday is average.
And right now they're 14th in the West, one spot above the Warriors, who are 5 and 19. So the Warriors could even come close.
We don't need to talk about how bad the Warriors are. So
that's just bad.
This team was supposed to make the playoffs. JJ Redick, by the way, has never missed the playoffs.
I wouldn't say they're supposed to make the playoffs. I think
seriously,
they're supposed to challenge.
They were going to challenge for the playoffs.
For me, they were supposed to. JJ Redick has never missed the playoffs in his NBA career. This is going to be the first time, unless Zion
comes in and absolutely just goes Superman. I don't know if he will, but we'll see.
Do you think Zion has the potential to still win Rookie of the Year, even though he hasn't played up to this point?
Not the way Jaw's playing right
now.
now.
By the way,
he's supposed to come back in like 2
By the way,
weeks,
let me add to the crisis. Zion Williamson is going to miss his 6 to 8 week timetable of return.
Yeah, he's supposed to be back already.
That's what I'm saying. That's another part. But yeah, do you think he can do it?
No. Well, he would have missed about a quarter of the season.
He can. I don't think he will.
A bit more than a quarter of the season. If he absolutely dominates, I think he would have to put up like 23 points, 24 points.
He would have to.
For them to give it to him. But if he puts up, 18, 19, or even 20, they'll give it to Ja.
Well, I said at the start of the year, if Zion was healthy for the entire season, I still think Ja Morant would have gotten it. So
we both had Zion.
So you both had Zion.
I had Zion.
I mean, a lot of it's down to injury, but I said even with healthy Zion, Ja Morant will get it. But we'll see how it pans out when Zion gets back. I'm still excited to see him play. But
we all are.
That's enough on the Pelicans.
Can we just talk about how the Lakers are 21-3?
That's insane.
That's not a
Lakers are
That's insane. That's insane.
The Lakers are so gross.
The Lakers are filthy. 80 and 50 last night.
You see LeBron's shot from nearly half?
Yeah, LeBron had 32. Any towards Gorgie Dieng. But let's move on.
The Bucks are 20.
Third team on the list, the San Jose Sharks. They're making me feel like an idiot because I had them coming top 3 in the Pacific Division of the NHL and making the playoffs. Nico and Clarkson gave me some shit for that, but I said they'd come 3rd. And well, since I've said that, I don't think they've won a game. They've lost 4 in a row. They lost 5-1 to the Panthers, 7-1 to the Lightning, 3-2 to the Hurricanes, 5-2 to the Capitals. Been a very ugly stretch. When I talked about them, they had won 8 in a row. Since I said they would make the playoffs, they have not won a game. They lost all 4.
Yeah.
Right now, they're sitting 6th in the Pacific Division. They have allowed the second most amount of goals in the NHL. Only the Detroit Red Wings have allowed more. And, I mean, the Red Wings have lost 11 in a row. They're by far the worst team in the NHL. So they're not even a base for comparison, as far as I'm concerned. They're the absolute dumpster of the NHL. But the Sharks have conceded second most. They're minus 23 goal difference. Not many teams are on that sort of level, especially, when I'm talking about this team being in the playoff hunt. Point-wise, not horribly adrift. Space to make up, but, 4 in a row after, you've got a great team. You've got 2 potential Norris candidates. You've got Carlson. You've got Brett Burns. You still have Evander Kane on your team. The players are here to succeed, and it's not going the right way right now. And I feel a little silly to say they're going to win the playoffs. I'm going to stick with it though because they can turn around. Like I said, they're not too far adrift.
They're only 15-15. It's not that bad.
One stat I really want to bring up is that fourth line player Lucas Radie, who plays sometimes he doesn't play every game, but he's played 14 games this season for the San Jose Sharks. He has 0 points this season. Last year he played 36 games and he had 11 points. San Jose's goalie Martin Jones, who is awful by the way, that's part of the reason why they suck, has 1 assist this season.
More than that guy.
So the goalie with 25 games has an assist.
That's terrifying.
Your center on your 4th line, Lucas Radie, has no points. So, crisis for sure. Lots of stuff going wrong. They score a decent amount but concede way too much, and it's largely in part to Martin Jones not being a suitable goalie for a great team like the San Jose Sharks have.
Yeah.
But we'll move on to the final crisis club of the week. Roman.
All right, it's about time they go on this. I'm going to be very happy talking about them. It's Napoli out of the Serie A. Napoli have not won a game in 9 straight games.
That's not
They
good.
have 7 draws and 2 losses. And what is alarming is some of those draws are against horrid teams. Spal being the last place in Serie A. Genoa, who are 18th. Udinese, 16th.
Oh.
And Bologna, who's 12th. And
They were beating Bologna then
were.
lost. They're up 1-0 at half and lost.
It looks terrible.
Yeah, they also tied this shit team AC Milan too.
Yes,
AC Milan. They suck.
Hey, we're in 10th. Let me have it. But no, yeah, we suck too. The losses that they lost to Roma. Roma had a red card too. And they drew Atalanta, which is not terrible because they actually are a good team. But out of 9 games to get no results.
Yeah, it's a team that should be challenging for the Scudetto every year. They were challenging the last few years, but this year
they're not challenging this year.
They've got a great manager too in Ancelotti.
And a good team.
As far as Champions League goes, they should be fine. They should be able
fine.
to pull through.
They should be
at
fine.
least come second in that Champions League group and go through. But they let some opportunities slip with a tie to Salzburg.
Yeah.
Well, they did tie Liverpool, which is weird. But they tied Salzburg. I believe they let points slip to Genk at someone. Yeah, they did tie Genk. They could have easily won this group because they have 4 points against Liverpool. Yeah. And Liverpool is still first in the group. They choked it. They like doing that. They went
on a
they always beat the good teams when they need to, but then they falter against the lower teams. That
reminds me of someone. Man U.
Yeah, Manchester United at the moment.
It's uncharacteristic to see any team that Ancelotti coaches to go like this, and especially with the talent that Napoli has, it doesn't make any sense. You got Insigne on the team. You got Koulibaly. They bring in Manolas, which is a nice signing for them.
Yeah, it should have bolstered the back line a little bit better.
I'm still not sold on Alex Moret as their goalkeeper.
He's been pretty good.
He's been okay, but I think he was a little bit hyped up.
Look, their defense isn't necessarily the issue
score
here. It's the scoring. Yeah, their defense isn't necessarily the problem.
Because their defense is good.
And for a firepower attack with Mertens, Insigne, Lozano, Callahan, and Milik, That 5 you can just interchange.
Oh, then you have Allen
Unreal.
in the midfield.
Allen, I love Allen.
Oh, Allen, I think he's a very underrated player.
Allen.
He's been out the last 2 games.
I hope that he goes to a big club that isn't called Paris Saint-Germain, so he can thrive on a proper team. And
where do you
Europe.
think he would thrive?
Where? He'd thrive anywhere. Like, he's literally like one of the epitomes of holding mid. He's similar to N'Golo Kante. Like that is a good player comparison to him. He could fit in anywhere. There is no league where he wouldn't succeed.
Imagine him on a Liverpool or City.
That's what I'm saying. Like this guy is the real deal.
No, he is
one of the most underrated players in world football. This guy is absolute quality.
Anyways, Napoli's next game, they're coming up against Genk in the Champions League. Hopefully they can turn it around. But then they go into their hard part of the season. They play Parma, they Sassuolo, which is not that big of a deal. But then they go up against Inter, Lazio, Juve, and Fiorentina.
Ooh, so they got to get it done in the next couple of weeks.
You got to turn it around before going into Inter, because as much as I hate to say it, it doesn't look like much can stop Inter at this point.
Mm-hmm. And, well, that's where we're going to have to end this one off. Guys, if you have to pick one, the biggest crisis club on the list, who would you pick?
I think it's got to be the Pelicans.
Yeah, I think the Pelicans. 8 losses in a row, no Zion. Lonzo not getting better.
Yeah, no, it's the Pelicans. It's not enough for debate.
Yeah, probably the Pelicans. Honestly.
But for the joke of it, Man City, they're the crisis club.
Manchester is red.
For the week.
Lord.
Let's not get too excited.
Why just 1 week?
Well, even for a week, we'll take it. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Amateur Hour Podcast. Thank you to Rowan Collin for being on. Follow us at Amateur Hour PDC, Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube to Amateur Hour Sports. Follow on Spotify, Amateur Hour. And we'll end it there. Come back soon for the daily content.
Daily content.